Hello and welcome. Picture this, 5:42 a.m., shin deep in a freezing creek in Lutruwita, Tasmania, breath fogging, listening for the faint bow wave of a platypus at first light, when Maya checks her phone and says, "Mate, your Quoll is a cat." I slog over, dripping and optimistic. The night cam clip looks Quoll-ish, long tail, dappled, but the gait is wrong. The shoulder's too smooth. Third missed call of the week. It hit me harder than the cold water. That's when it clicked. We've been starting in the wrong place. You don't start with the animal. You start with the place. Read the habitat first, like a detective reading a crime scene. It tells you what's possible before you even lift your binoculars. We drove back to the visitor center, cranked the heater, flipped our approach. Lead with habitat and life history terms. Use those to anchor identification. Pressure test in messy, real conditions. Fogged lenses, drizzle, leeches. Kids asking better questions than adults. Over 8 days, we pinballed from the Derwent catchment, up through the wet forests of northeast New South Wales, then across to the Banksia country of southwest Western Australia. I've done plenty of field time, but this trip humbled me. Assumptions crumble fast when the boots get muddy. Here's the shift. Stop memorizing features. Start reading landscapes. Every creek bend, soil type, and fallen log is a hint. Step into a place and really feel it. How cold the water is, how the light sits, what plants dominate, and you've narrowed the possibilities before the first rustle. That mindset turns guesswork into grounded observation. Take the platypus. I've been telling a group of year 8s, watch for the periscope, brief bill, neat ripples. A kid asks, how does it breathe if its nose is shut underwater? Perfect prompt. Platypus close eyes, ears, and nostrils and hunt by electrolocation. That soft, rubbery bill is a super sensor, reading tiny electrical fields from shrimp and insect muscles. Like feeling a phone vibrate in your pocket. Don't file that as trivia. Use it. Imagine their world, sweeping the seams of a stream, tracking signals, moving with quiet purpose. Insider bit most guides gloss over. Behavior shifts with water temperature and flow. In water below roughly 10 degrees, platypus surface more often and hog the banks where thin thermal layers form. Cold dawn, slow, deep bends, check the edges. You'll turn wild goose chases into real encounters. Surface tells. Platypus are low-slung and chocolatey. Paddle tail, fully webbed front feet. At the surface, they leave tidy, unhurried ripples, sometimes a gentle back roll, then gone. Watch for the neat V-shaped wake when they cruise. Splashy and chaotic, might be a ricali, the water rat, doing laps. Safety note, male platypus have a venomous spur on the hind foot. In breeding season, it amps up, and the sting is no joke, painful for weeks. Never handle them. Life history is half the magic. Platypus are monotremes, egg-laying mammals. Females build long burrows, sometimes 20 meters into the bank, ending in an earthy nest. They secrete milk onto the skin rather than through nipples. The milk has antimicrobial properties, handy in a damp burrow. They're crepuscular, mostly solitary, and can forage 10 to 12 hours a day. Hoovering invertebrates and crunching through a huge fraction of their body weight. In the wild, they can live well over a decade, even pushing 20. Habitat matters. Think cool to temperate freshwater, creeks, rivers, farm dams, with intact banks and invertebrate-rich bottoms. They're sensitive to water quality and flow. Sediment from sloppy earthworks or rapid runoff crashes the invertebrates. The platypus follow. A hopeful note. Those opera house yabby traps that drowned platypus are banned or restricted in most states now. And accidental deaths have dropped. But climate extremes still bite. Droughts and floods whiplash populations. and declines are marked in the hardest hit catchments. Try this tactic on your next dawn watch. Fix your eyes where fast water meets slow water. Transition zones concentrate food. Platypus love them. Focusing on seams instead of scanning the whole river randomly can triple your odds. Small adjustment, big payoff. Back to that icy creek. We were collecting eDNA, water samples that capture tiny fragments of shed genetic material. I had my gloves on, feeling very professional. Then I touched the inside of the cap. Goodbye, sample. Maya gives me the look. Contamination doesn't care that you're cold. She's right. We redid the protocol, careful and slow. 2 days later, the lad backed us up. Platypus DNA at the site we expected. None at another creek that looked perfect to the eye. New rule, written big. Absence of evidence is often too cold, too fast, too peaty, or sampled wrong. Not seeing a platypus at dawn doesn't mean they're gone. Here's the nuance. In winter tests, platypus DNA lingered in cold water for weeks, up to 21 days after animals moved through. That lag can make a site look positive long after the last sighting, and it can make a beautiful creek test negative simply because the timing was off. Know your method's quirks, and you'll read results like a pro. That same habitat first lens saved more camera trap embarrassment. Quoll versus cat is a classic miscall on grainy night footage. You can stare at tails and spots, and you should, but first, ask where the camera sits. Damp, complex gully, rotting logs, thick understory, Quoll country. Cleared paddock edge, tidy path, a shed in frame, cat country. Then tune your eye to movement. Quolls have a lift and drop in the spine, a springiness. Feral cats, flow. Shoulders smooth, sinister. Once you anchor in context, the difference jumps out. Over that 8-day blitz, we leaned on tools that barely existed a decade ago. AI audits of camera trap sets caught our placement bias. eDNA let us test 10 creeks in a morning where we used to gamble on 2. Citizen science, school groups, retirees with notebooks, kayakers who notice everything became our triage system, the early warning network pointing us to places that need a closer look. Tech is wonderful, but it all sits on a simple foundation. Read the land first. So if you're heading out this season, here's how to see differently. When you step out of the car, pause. Breathe in the cold. Feel the creek's flow. Check whether the bank holds or crumbles. Notice which plants dominate the edges. Let the place tell you its likely stories. Watching water? Find the seams. Fast meets slow, riffle meets pool. Staring at a night cam clip? Ask where the animal would be coming from and why. Zoom out to habitat before you zoom in to tails and spots. Let season and temperature shape your expectations. Cold mornings change behavior. And when something doesn't add up, a gorgeous site with 0 sightings, a perfect ID feature in the wrong habitat, hold that tension. The truth often sits just beyond what you can see. Sometimes it's a false positive. Sometimes a species is quietly shifting with the weather. Sometimes, like me with that sample cap, it's a human mistake you'll fix next time. I promise a crisp, practical update. What we delivered is simpler than I imagined. It's not a list of field marks. It's a way of paying attention. The more you practice, the more the landscape starts talking. That's when the magic happens. The platypus role becomes predictable. The phantom quoll reveals itself as a cat before you hit play. Your nights and mornings shift from hoping to finding. Next time you'll by a river at first light, give yourself permission to be still. Watch the edges. Track the neat ripples. Think like an electric hunter. Scanning the seams. And when your phone buzzes with a night cam alert, don't just zoom the tail. Zoom out to the habitat. You'll be amazed at how many mysteries solve themselves. Thanks for listening. And here's to reading the country like a pro, one cold, beautiful morning at a time.